At the start of the drama, we see the male lead, Yum, whose hobby is watching movies. At the age of 9, he gets hooked on watching movies, so his brother puts him in a video rental shop. He says, watch as many movies as you want, and also pays the shop owner monthly. Yum grows up watching movies just like that. In the present, he is sitting with his college friends and watching a movie. His best friend, Si-jun, says, why do you watch so many movies? Do you want to run a rental shop? Then Si-jun's girlfriend, Yua, says, you worry about yourself. He will do something or the other. Thinking about his friend's words, Guillaume thinks, if I run a video rental shop, the world of cinema will suffer a great loss. So he decides, now, I have to act. Then he tells his friends, I will act now, and is telling his story to a director at an audition. The director asks him to act, but Guillaume acts so poorly that the director shoos him away. While leaving from there, he sees a girl. Her name is Mubi. Hearing this name, he gets quite impressed. Then we see Mubi's flashback when she was 9 years old. When anyone would ask her, where are your parents? She would say, they are dead. But both her mom and dad are alive. She used to be angry with her dad because he didn't give her time. Once, while going in the car, she is sitting with a sullen face when her dad says, we will go to the amusement park. She becomes happy, but just then, her dad gets a call from a director, and her dad says, I will be there. Hearing this, Mubi becomes sad again. Dad says, after this movie ends, I will give you a lot of time. Mubi says, no. You will start another movie, then another one, and then another one. Then, when she grows a little older, her dad really dies. Then she joins the film industry, but not for her dad, for herself. The next day, Yum tells the director, you should take the shot like this, not like that. The director says, am I the director, or are you? Yum says, taking the shot this way will look better. The director leaves from there. Guillaume sees Mubi and thinks to himself, I need to get close to her somehow and try to get to know her. At night, a fight scene is being shot, but this time Guillaume is not acting, just standing on the set and looking at Mubi. When everyone goes to eat, Guillaume sees Mubi smoking. Seeing her, Guillaume stops near her. When Mubi sees him, she leaves from there. The next day, during the lunch break, Guillaume comes and sits next to Mubi. Mubi says in her heart, I wish he would stop being interested in me. Guillaume asks, why do you eat alone? She says, it's my choice. Then other people also come and sit there. Mubi gets disturbed, so she gets up and leaves from there. She thinks, I don't like one thing about him at all. He is always surrounded by people, and even in his absence, people talk about him. Being with him is not easy at all. As Mubi is picking up her things to leave, she hears some people talking. The director had rejected Guillaume, but he had left wearing the director's limited edition shoes, which is why the director gave him the role. Then Guillaume comes to Mubi and puts her things inside. Mubi tells him, I don't need your help. He asks, why? Mubi says, I don't like it when someone talks to me or tries to be my friend because not everyone is as childish as you are, so stay away. In the next scene, Guillaume watches a movie with his brother and tells him about Mubi. The brother asks, she doesn't want to talk to you, so what will you do now? Guillaume says, brother, I have seen a lot of romantic and comedy movies. I'll do something. Mubi goes to her home and tells her mom, thank goodness I take after you. If I were like dad, life would be very tiring. Mom asks, why are you remembering your dad today? She says, I met someone who reminded me of dad. The next day, Yum is acting, and Mubi passes by. He sticks his leg out in front of her. Mubi says, thank goodness you're going to die in this scene. Yum asks, what are you doing after the shoot? She says, I am very busy. During lunchtime, Mubi finds a separate place and sits down. Guillaume is sitting there wearing strange clothes. Mubi asks, what are you still doing here? He says, I also have a twin brother, so I'm here, and the director needs me. Then a man comes and says, you stole my beard, and grabs Guillaume and takes him away. At night, Mubi is walking alone. Guillaume comes up behind her and says, you shouldn't walk alone like this at night. If you'd like, I can give you a ride. Mubi shows him a stun gun and says, I can take care of myself so you can go. Then, Guillaume is at a wedding where Mubi is shooting a video. Seeing her, Guillaume becomes happy and says, I didn't come here to follow you. I know the groom. How are you here? Mubi explains, I shoot wedding videos in my extra time. The next day, a bus is leaving for the shoot, and Guillaume also gets on it, even though he has no work there. He goes to sit with Mubi. In the evening, Guillaume is buying corn, and his bus leaves. He runs after the bus, then looks back and sees Mubi also running after the bus. They both sit at the bus stand and eat corn. Guillaume asks, when you make your own movie, what kind will it be? Mubi says, I will make a love story. Hearing this, a piece of corn gets stuck in Guillaume's throat. She asks, why are you making fun of me? Guillaume says, no, corn just got stuck in my throat. The bus arrives, and they both sit separately, but then Guillaume goes and sits next to Mubi. She says, the whole bus is empty, so he says, I'm afraid to sit alone. Mubi says, well, I am sleeping. While sleeping, Mubi gets scared by a dream and grabs Guillaume's hand, then realizes and says, sorry. The next day, Guillaume sees Mubi and follows her. A reporter says to Mubi, did you join the film industry to fulfill your dad's dream after he passed away? Mubi says, "No, it's nothing like that." The reporter wants to write a story on her, but Mubi refuses. Then Mubi comes outside and is smoking. Guillaume says, "I thought you had left, but you are still here." Mubi says, "You like to socialize with people. What are you doing here?" Guillaume says, "You said you would ask if you needed help, so I have to stay close to you." Hearing this, Mubi starts laughing. Guillaume asks, "First you didn't want to talk to me, now you're laughing at my words?" Mubi says, "I'm a little different. I find it difficult to talk to people and get close to them." Guillaume asks, "Why?" She says, "Because one day everyone leaves." Guillaume says, "Why do you always think the worst?" Mubi says, "And why do you always pretend that everything is okay?" She continues, "I don't like people who pretend because they are the first ones to leave." Guillaume says, "If I admit it now, will you understand and not leave me?" Mubi doesn't answer. As Guillaume starts to leave, Mubi stops him and kisses him. Then, Mubi's voice is heard. Just as the morning light makes the darkness of the night disappear, in the same way, Guillaume also disappeared. In the next scene, we see Mubi when she was 9 years old. She befriends a boy who is very sick, and other boys bully him. Mubi beats them all up. In the present, Mubi is very upset about Guillaume's disappearance. Guillaume has suddenly vanished. For some time, Mubi remains sad. Then she starts getting angry at him. Then Mubi decides, "I will never think of Guillaume again." Then we see Guillaume's brother gets into an accident and is badly injured. In his stress, Guillaume is oblivious to everything. During this time, Guillaume also has a lot of money problems, but he manages by doing jobs. Then he gets a job as a movie critic and starts earning good money. He also takes care of his brother and spends time with him. And just like that, 5 years pass. During this time, Mubi has also directed her first film. Guillaume, being a well-known movie lover and critic, gets an invitation to the first show. He arrives at the show. After the movie ends, the cast and director are called on stage, and people ask questions. Guillaume also gets a chance to ask a question about the movie. Mubi is shocked to see him and cannot answer properly. Then we see Si-jun. He works at a bar and also makes music. It has been 5 years since his breakup with Jua, but he still hasn't been able to forget her. Then we see Mubi. She's sitting with her mom. Mom asks, "How does it feel when people call you a director?" Mubi says, "I didn't know a director is needed the most on set. Now I have to run around more than before." Mom asks, "How does it feel after making your first movie?" Mubi says, "I don't know. I can't say anything." In the next scene, Guillaume watches a movie with his brother. Brother Jun asks, "What do you do besides taking care of me?" Guillaume says, "I watch movies and meet people." Jun says, "Remember when we used to watch movies before, how much we used to talk?" He adds, "Once you told me I like a girl." Guillaume says, "I was a kid then. Why this sudden question?" Jun says, "I don't know. I feel like you are not living your life as openly as before." Guillaume says, "No, it's nothing like that. The only difference is I was a child before. Now I have grown up." Then we see Mubi. She is thinking, "All my attempts to forget Guillaume have failed after his return." She continues, "A while ago, I wanted to forget all this, but now I want to know why he disappeared." Then we see Guillaume and the old director. They are both going to Director Chu's concert in Guillaume's car. As soon as they arrive, Mubi sees Guillaume. Guillaume walks towards her when Mubi's colleague comes and says, "I thought I'd come and tell you. Remember that night you told me to find that fraud?" She adds, "I found him. We were the ones who invited him." Mubi quickly takes her away from there. Then everyone watches Director Chu's new movie. After the movie ends, Guillaume follows her. At first, Mubi starts to leave but stops and asks, "When did you start working as a critic?" Guillaume says, "Since I started getting good money for it." Mubi asks, "Did you review my movie?" He says, "No." She says, "Then why did you come to watch the movie?" Guillaume says, "I didn't come to see you. Besides, you were looking at me too." He adds, "And why did you tell your colleague he is a fraud?" Mubi says, "Because directors and critics are enemies." Then Mubi asks, "Were you sick?" Guillaume says, "No." She asks, "Did someone die or did you commit a crime for which you had to go to jail?" Guillaume says, "No, it was nothing like that." She says, "Then where were you all this time?" Guillaume doesn't answer. Mubi says, "Okay, I understand. I was just a time pass for you." She leaves, saying, "Don't show me your face again." The next day, Mubi is going home on her cycle. Her mom tells her, "New people have moved into the house across the street." Mubi goes to say hello to the neighbor and sees that it is Guillaume. She says, "You followed me all the way here?" Guillaume says, "I came here because my brother liked this house." June also comes there, and then Guillaume says to Mubi, "You said critics and directors are enemies, right? From today, we are just enemies." The next morning, Mubi sees Guillaume enjoying reading a book. A little later, while she is riding her cycle, she sees Guillaume distributing sweets in the whole area to create a good image of himself. So, Mubi comes home and asks her mom, "Did anyone bring sweets to our house?" Mom says, "No, no one came to our house." Then she waits all day for Guillaume's sweets, but he doesn't bring them. Night falls, and she gets very angry, thinking, "Sweets were not given only to our house." Then, when she gets on the bus to go to the office, Guillaume also gets on the same bus, but sees her. and gets out from the other door. Mubi is shocked to see this. She thinks, the most troublesome thing about him is he knows the art of annoying people, and he doesn't even have to work hard for it. The next day, when she's jogging, Gyum comes there and starts annoying her, crossing her path again and again. Mubi gets irritated, and when another man crosses her, she mistakes him for Gyum and lashes out at him. The man gets worried about what happened to her. On the other hand, if we look from Gyum's perspective, he is trying to win Mubi over. One day he sees Mubi playing with children. The next day, he sees Mubi helping the elderly. Then one day, Mubi sees him from the window, and Gyum also sees her and starts coming towards her house. Seeing this, Mubi thinks, what should I do now? Then the door is knocked. Mubi opens the door, and there is a boy who hugs her. Gyum had also come to see who this boy was and what he was doing outside her house. When that boy hugs Mubi, Gyum becomes very sad. Then we see Mubi is very happy because this is the same childhood friend Jeong, who was sick. Now he has come back after getting treatment in America. Mubi asks him, how is your health now? He says, now I am completely fit. Then we see Gyum. He wonders, who is that boy and what is he doing there? Just then, Jun comes and tells Gyum, get up and help with the party preparations. Then Gyum starts putting up the lights, but the lights don't turn on, so he starts looking for the switch box. Just then, Jong comes there and says, are you looking for the switch box? He continues, it's in the back. Gyum asks, who are you? He says, I used to live here before, now I have come to meet someone in the house next door. Gyum asks, what business do you have here? Jong asks, do you know them? Gyum says, no, I don't know them. Then, Si-jun also comes to Gyum's house, and they eat together. Gyum tells him about Mubi, and Si-jun says, if she's your past, then forget her. He adds, if you want her to be with you, then apologize and fix everything, because she had to be alone because you left, which is very difficult. Then we see Mubi. She is checking her laptop to see if Gyum has reviewed her movie or not. She sees that Gyum has written a review for every movie except hers. This makes her very angry. Then Gyum and Jun are cleaning up after the party ends. Gyum asks, what did you like about this house? The brother explains, when I used to pass by here every day, my eyes would fall on this wall. He continues, when you were little, you used to say, I want to live in a house with a big white wall so I can watch movies on a projector. Gyum says, I thought you chose this house for yourself, but once again you did it for me. He adds, I didn't expect this from you. For once, do something that makes you happy. The brother says, no, it's not like that. I really like this place. Gyum says, I would have liked it if you had bought this just for yourself. Then he goes inside. The brother comes and says, will you watch a movie with me? Gyum says, you only know one way to persuade me. The brother says, yes, it always works. They both watch a movie. The next day, we see director Seong. He is very worried because he has an interview. The employees ask, why are you so worried today? They continue, you have interviews all the time. The director says, then my films were doing well. I was happy. He adds, nowadays my movies are not doing well. That's why I'm worried. Just then, Gyum comes and says, I have come to take the interview. The director is happy to see him and says, I know you will write all good things in this interview. Gyum says, no, I will write only what is true. Then we see Mubi. She has received some movie scripts. She selects a script named Melody. She calls her colleague and says, fix a meeting for me with the scriptwriter. Then we see Yua. She is sitting in a bar drinking and telling her sorrows to the bartender. I have no one to share things with. Everyone only cares about work, no friends, no family. Mubi is also sitting there and listening to her words. She says, yes, you are absolutely right. Yua asks, you think my words are right? Mubi says, yes, absolutely. They both sit together. Jua tells her whole story with Si-jun to Mubi. Jua asks, what do you do? Mubi says, I am a civil servant. Mubi asks, what do you do? Jua says, I am a pilot instructor. Then Mubi also tells her story. When they are both going home, they exchange numbers, but as they leave, they delete each other's numbers. Then we see Gyum. He is leaving the store. He sees Mubi, who is staggering home, drunk. Gyum follows her. Someone sees him and reports him to the police. The police arrive and say, we have received a complaint against you. Someone reported, there is a man following a girl. Mubi looks back to see why the police car came. Gyum quickly hides and tells the police, I will go with you. At the police station, he explains, I was going that way. My house is in that direction. That girl was drunk, so I was following her so she wouldn't fall. Just then, Mubi comes to the police station and gets Gyum released. Gyum asks, why did you come to get me released? Mubi says, I was drunk, and a person makes a lot of mistakes when drunk. After reaching home, Mubi asks, why don't you say sorry to me? First, you left me, and now you are not even saying sorry. Gyum apologizes to her. I am truly sorry. Mubi asks, do you still write reviews? He says, yes. Mubi asks, do you write for all movies? Guillaume says, no, I write for many movies, but I can't write reviews for all of them. Then Guillaume says, I was thinking, since we live together, we can at least say hello. Mubi says, keep your hello to yourself. She adds, anyway, the shooting for my next film is about to start, so I will be home less often. She finishes with, you can live peacefully with your hello. In the next scene, Mubi has a meeting with Jua. The script that Mubi liked, its writer is Jua. Jua refuses, you can't use this script. It has a lot of flaws. I don't like it. At that moment, Mubi's colleague calls and she goes outside. Mubi says, the story you told yesterday is similar to this script. She asks, this is your own story, isn't it? Jua says, yes, that's why I don't want a film to be made on it. Mubi insists, so Jua has to agree. Jua says, if you want to make the film, I will have to make some changes. In the next scene, we see Mubi. She has an interview and leaves home after getting ready. Guillaume also gets on the same bus. Mubi gets off first. When she reaches the office, Guillaume is already sitting there because he was the one who was going to interview her. After the interview, Mubi asks, is your interview over? Guillaume says, no, some questions are left. He asks, why is your name Mubi? She asks, why this question? Guillaume says, if a director's name is Mubi, people would want to know. They would think you love movies a lot. Mubi says, no, I didn't like movies at all. Then she says, I have work, so I have to go. Guillaume stops her and says, you still don't like movies? She says, if I didn't like them, why would I become a director? Guillaume says, will you watch a movie with me as an apology? This is how I know to make amends. Mubi says, nice try, but no. She leaves saying this. In the next scene, Guillaume starts watching a movie on a projector. Mubi also hears the sound, comes to the terrace, and sits there watching the movie. For the next few days, Guillaume does all of Mubi's chores. He plays with the children, helps the elderly. He becomes famous in the area, and Mubi gets irritated watching this. In the next scene, we see Guillaume, who wakes up early in the morning and goes to the columbarium because it is his mom and dad's death anniversary today. He wanted to take his brother Jun with him, but Jun had already left, making an excuse about the doctor because he doesn't like going there. So Guillaume decides to go alone. His day is bad from the start. He spills coffee on his hand in the morning, and when he goes to wash his hand, the shower turns on by itself, getting him wet. After reaching there, he talks to his mom and dad. When he is coming back, it starts raining on the way and his wipers are not working properly, due to which he has to stop the car on the way. Just then, Mubi arrives there with an umbrella and fixes the wipers for him. Guillaume is surprised to see this and says, you can do all this too? After this, we see that Guillaume's senior gives him an offer. Your reviews will be published in our main magazine. Guillaume says, yes. Then we see Mubi, who has come for a jog and starts reading the blog Guillaume wrote about her. She thinks he hasn't written that badly. In the next scene, Mubi's colleague tells her, Miss Jua has come to meet you. Mubi says, okay, have her sit in the meeting room. After this, Mubi is sitting with Jua. She is ready to give her script to Mubi and says, this script is very close to my heart. I hope you will do justice to it. Mubi says, movies are like that. Those with true and good stories flop, and many movies with nonsensical stories become hits. She says, I can't promise, but I will try my best. Jua says, good music is very important for this movie. For this, I have a person in mind. Mubi says, okay, you can recommend, but the final decision will be mine. Then we see Mubi, who has come to watch director Koo Young-sik's movie, and Guillaume is also there. He grabs Mubi and makes her sit with him, saying, the movie is about to start. Just sit here. Mubi also quietly sits with him. After the movie ends, Guillaume comes after Mubi and asks her for dinner. Mubi tells him, I have been talking to you for the past few days, but that doesn't mean you can ask me for dinner, and you should stay away from me. Then Guillaume gets a message and immediately leaves from there. Seeing this, Mubi gets even angrier and says he should have tried a little harder. Why did he leave so quickly? After this, Guillaume tells his brother Jun, I went to the hospital today, and asks, what happened? He says, everything is fine. Guillaume says, I got a call from the hospital today. They were saying he is not coming for his checkup. Jun starts making excuses. I am perfectly fine now, and I don't need treatment. But Guillaume says, no, you should go to the hospital. Jun says, a lot of money has already been spent on my treatment. I don't want to spend more money. Guillaume says, don't worry about the money. I have a lot of work these days, and I am getting good money too. He adds, complete your treatment. After this, we see Mubi, who is watching TV. Just then, Guillaume appears on a show in front of her. She gets annoyed seeing him and says, how did he get here? Her mom comes and says, he speaks very well. Mubi gets even more annoyed. When she comes to the office, her colleague is looking at Guillaume's movie recommendation list. Mubi asks her, is there any movie of mine on this list? She says, no, not yet. Hearing this, she gets even angrier. Then she turns on her computer, and Gyum appears there too. Moo-bi is surprised. How can he suddenly appear everywhere? In the next scene, we see Si-jun. He is with the bar owner, Mr. Song. Mr. Sang is also quite surprised to see Gyum on TV, just like Moo-bi, and Si-jun says, how can he suddenly appear everywhere? Then he tells Si-jun, Gyum deserves all this. He has worked very hard. Then Si-jun talks about Jua. She wants to work with me. He adds, she needs my music to make the movie. So Mr. Sang says, this is very good news. Then he asks, what have you thought about it? So Si-jun says, you think I am so useless? He continues, now I will have to take Jua's help for work. So Mr. Sang says, this is your old habit. You find negativity in everything. He adds, try thinking positively for a change. After this, they show Moo-bi. At night, she is finishing her work and is about to leave the office when Jua comes to her. Seeing her suddenly, Moo-bi gets scared. Jua has brought drinks and says to Moo-bi, let's have a drink. Then they both sit in the office and drink. Jua says, I tried very hard to convince Si-jun. She adds, but he looked at me angrily, and he left from there. I don't know how I will convince him. So Moo-bi says, what if I don't like his music? Jua says, that's not possible. She adds, his music is amazing. Then Jua asks Moo-bi, what happened to the boy who was bothering you? Moo-bi says, no, he is still draining my blood. Then Moo-bi asks, when did I tell you this? So Jua says, you told me everything that night while drinking. Then when Moo-bi is going home in a taxi, the radio is on in the taxi, and Gyum's voice is coming from it too. Moo-bi tells the driver, turn up the volume, and starts listening to his words carefully. After this, they show Gyum and Si-jun. Si-jun asks, why have you suddenly started working so much? He adds, wherever I look, I see you. So Gyum says, I am getting good money for this work. Then Si-jun starts complaining. Jua also writes scripts and has started making a movie on it. He adds, you are also doing well these days. Only I am left behind. So Gyum says, no man, everyone gets a chance sooner or later. He continues, you will get one too and I know you will rock it. Then the next day, there is news that Gyum had written an article on a famous director Chin's movie and gave quite bad reviews. So, after reading the article, he tried to attempt suicide, but his family saved him. When Gyum finds out this news, he gets very worried. Then at night, director Seong takes Gyum for drinks so that he can forget all these things, and he had also called Moo-bi. Moo-bi asks Gyum, are you okay? So he says, yes, I am fine. What will happen to me? Just then, another director comes and sits with them. Gyum had also written a very bad review of his movie because his film was very bad. This director did not like this at all. He tells Gyum, if something happened to that director or if he dies, you will be responsible for it. Hearing all this, Moo-bi gets very angry and takes Gyum away from there, asking him, why were you listening to his words? She says, you should have answered him. You are already so upset and they have come to bother you more. So Gyum says, why should I be upset? He adds, I didn't do anything wrong and the movie didn't flop because of me. He continues, I just wrote a review and if someone feels bad because of my review or commits suicide, it's not my fault. He finishes, everyone goes through a bad time. So Moo-bi says, I didn't say it was your fault. Then she says, you should know Director Shang and I are here to cheer you up. She adds, I know you are good at hiding your pain. She continues, but at least don't ignore those who care for you. She says, when we met after such a long time, you know what I was angry about? You are always caught up in your own sorrow. She adds, just like you are doing now. You don't think about others at all. And saying all this, she leaves from there. Then they show Si-jun. He closes the bar and is going home when he sees Jua waiting for him outside. At first, Si-jun sees her and starts to leave, but then he comes back and says, okay, I will work with you, and this time I am ready to put everything at stake. So she asks, what will you put at stake? So he says, my pride, because I don't want to take help from the person I once loved. After this, they show Moo-bi. She takes some things from her mom and goes to meet the director who attempted suicide, who is in the hospital. He is very happy to see Moo-bi and says, you haven't changed at all. He adds, you are exactly the same as before. Then he says, I am very happy you have become a film director. He continues, I also liked your film very much. Then Moo-bi asks him, the reporters are saying you attempted suicide after reading the review. She asks, is that true? So he says, no, it's nothing like that. He explains, I had had a lot to drink that day, and I also have anxiety issues, so I took a few too many pills, which is how I ended up here. After this, Moo-bi says, you need rest now. I'll be going. So the director says, yes, I have to rest, but a boy keeps coming again and again. He adds, I have told him so many times, I am perfectly fine. But he doesn't leave, and he is still sitting outside. Then Moo-bi goes outside and sees that it is Gyum. Moo-bi asks him, what are you doing here? So he says, I am waiting for something good to happen. Then Moo-bi starts talking to him. After a while, Moo-bi falls asleep, and Gyum starts looking at her. When Moo-bi wakes up, Gyum is not there. She is about to leave, but suddenly, Gyum lifts a blanket and comes in front of her, saying, it's getting very cold, so I went to get a blanket for you. So Moo-bi says, you could have woken me up too. I would have gone home and slept. So Guillaume says, I didn't even think of that. Mubi says, I am going home. She adds, you should go home too and don't trouble yourself by staying here. And he tells her, I want to date you again. So Mubi thinks, I fell into his trap before, and he left me. I won't fall into his trap again. And she kicks him hard and says, don't think such foolish things. Then she leaves from there. The next day, Guillaume looks at Mubi's house from his house. Then June comes and says, what's the matter? Are you planning to rob the neighbors? Guillaume replies, there is something in that house that is mine. Then his brother asks, are you talking about Mubi? Guillaume says, brother, how did you know? He says, I bet you every child in this area knows about you two. Just then, Zhang comes out of Mubi's house. Seeing him, Guillaume says, why does he keep coming here? Then we see Mubi, who just came from her room and asks her mom, where is Zhang? Mom says, he just went out for a bit. Mubi lies down on the couch and thinks, I wish I could forget Guillaume's words. It would be good for me, but I can't forget. And because of that, I couldn't sleep all night. Then we see Zhang. He is stretching outside. Guillaume grabs him and says, man, I told you not to come to this house. If you want a friend, I'm here, right? Zhang says, ever since I arrived, you've been after me. He asks, is this because of Mubi? Then he looks at Guillaume and says, you are not Mubi's type at all. Just then, Mubi comes outside and calls for Zhang. Come on, breakfast is ready. Zhang teases Guillaume and leaves. In the next scene, we see Si-jun. He is reading the script written by Jua and gets upset. Then we see Jua. She comes to meet Mubi. Mubi thinks to herself, is she here to bother me again? Jua understands lip reading and says, I don't know why you said that, but I came to tell you something important. Mubi gets embarrassed. Jua informs, Si-jun has agreed to do the music. Mubi says, maybe you are forgetting, the final decision will still be mine. Jua says, yes, I know, but you won't be able to refuse. His music is amazing. In the next scene, Jun's stick gets stuck in the grill and Mubi helps him. Jun tells Mubi, your mom is very nice and friendly. Mubi says, I don't think so at all. Then she asks, you are so nice, but your brother is not like you at all. He is very careless. John says, no, he is the opposite of me, and that is the cause of my worry. He adds, I wish he weren't so responsible. Then we see Yum. He is drunk and calls Mubi, but says to himself, stop. He still calls, but Mubi has blocked his number, so the call doesn't go through. The next morning, Guillaume wakes up and his eyes fall on a sweater he is wearing. He asks, whose is this, and how did I get it? June tells him, this belongs to Mubi. Guillaume starts crying and says, did I meet Mubi yesterday? Jun says, last night, you were climbing the gate of Mubi's house, calling for her. He continues, before I could come out, Mubi came out. You told her, unblock my number. She was telling you to leave, you grabbed her, so she left her sweater and went away. Then you fell there, and I had to drag you inside. Just then, the doorbell rings. Mubi comes to ask for the sweater. Yum gives it to her. Mubi says, if you create a scene next time, I will file a complaint with the police. Then we see Si-jun. He's going to the studio. The keys are not in the box there, and the studio door is open. Jua is inside. Si-jun asks, what are you doing here? Then Guillaume also arrives. Everyone sits down. Si-jun tells Jua, you can't just come here without informing me. Jua says, I sent a message, but maybe you have blocked my number. I came for work. Si-jun asks, what work? Jua says, you must have read the script and understood it. She adds, for this movie, music is an important character. It needs to be presented well. Si-jun says, I've read the script and understood it. I'll have to do something special for it. Jua says, I will have to come here repeatedly to share inspiration. Si-jun says, no, I will manage. Jua says, if the director doesn't like the music, she can refuse, and I don't want that. She continues, first, I will have to listen to your music. Si-jun gets angry. How can the director refuse? He adds, you brought the work to me. I didn't go. Now you are saying the director will refuse? They get into an argument over this. Si-jun says, I will not work with you. Guillaume looks at the script and reads the director's name, Kim Mubi. He tells Si-jun, you have to do the work. Si-jun says, you want me to work with her? Guillaume says, you are talking as if you have a line of movies waiting for you. How long will you struggle? He adds, this is the best chance for you. You shouldn't let it go. Si-jun leaves in anger. In the next scene, Zhang tells Guillaume and Jun, I used to be very sick and always had an oxygen cylinder with him, because of which no one would be my friend. Mubi was the only one who was always with him. Then Guillaume comes and tells him, you should consider yourself lucky to be with us today, and you will have to repay this favor. So Zhang says, I have a great plan for you, but I'm thinking whether I should tell you or not. Guillaume grabs his hands and then his neck and says, tell me quickly. Zhang says, okay, I'll tell you. Then we see Mubi. When her dad was alive, he used to organize an outdoor film festival in their area every year. This time, one of his friends found out that Mubi has now become a director. So he asked Mubi's mom, please convince Mubi to come to the festival and take part in the preparations. Mubi is sitting and thinking, should I go or not? On the other hand, Zhang is also telling Guillaume about this and says, if Mubi comes there, you will get a lot of time alone with her. Then the next day, we see Mubi, who has arrived there to help with the preparations. Her dad's friends say, "Thank you for coming here." Then they say, "Your dad used to organize such events a lot and enjoyed them very much, and now, after many years, this event is happening again. So I want you to be a part of it too." Just then, Guillaume is walking around there holding a banner. Mubi asks, "What are you doing here?" Guillaume says, "I am from the staff." Then they are both tying a line on a tree. Guillaume tells her, "You have tied it too low." Mubi says, "You have made it too high." Then Guillaume raises it from the other side as well and says, "We tie it high so that people can read it." Mubi hits him and says, "Don't be too smart." Then, at night, when the movie is about to start, Mubi, her mom, and Jong also come. Jong brings her mom to Guillaume. Then Mubi also has to come and sit there reluctantly. Seeing the food prepared by June, Mubi's mom asks, "Where did you learn to cook such good food?" So he says, "With time, I slowly learned everything." In the next scene, Guillaume is watching the movie alone. Mubi comes and sits next to him and starts looking at him. Guillaume is watching the movie very intently. Mubi starts thinking about her dad. He also used to watch movies with such great concentration. Then she asks Guillaume, "You have seen this movie before, right?" She adds, "So why are you watching it so intently?" He says, "I have never been bored of this movie." He continues, "No matter how many times I watch it, it's just as enjoyable." Then Mubi again starts thinking about her dad. He would always leave me for some work or the other, and she felt, "My dad doesn't love me." She also decided, "I will never expect anything from him again." Thinking this, she gets up to leave, but Guillaume stops her. Then, in the next scene, we see Si-jun. He closes the bar and is about to leave. Then he sees a drunk Jua who starts questioning him. Si-jun tries to catch her, but Jua stops him. So he says, "I thought you were feeling the same way I am." Then he starts to leave and Jua hits him with her purse and then starts crying loudly. Si-jun picks up her purse and gives it to her, and she asks, "Why did you do that?" So he says, "I got angry." So Jua says, "If you are so angry with me, then I won't come to see you again." She starts to leave, but Si-jun tells her, "You broke up with me on your own terms and then came back on your own terms too." He adds, "Give me some chance to understand." Then Jua says, "Sorry," and says, "So many years have passed." She adds, "You have probably forgotten me." So he says, "You didn't know me completely, and I didn't know you completely either." He continues, "That's why we broke up." Then we see Guillaume and Mubi. Mubi is standing, and people are telling her, "Move aside, you are blocking our view." Mubi leaves from there. Guillaume also goes after her and then stops her. Mubi says, "Stop making fun of me." She adds, "You came like this before, gave me hope, and made me love you, and then you left me." Guillaume says, "You just said you loved me, so why are you backing away from it now?" He continues, "I really like you. Actually, I should be the one complaining." He adds, "You were the one who confessed first, and you were the one who kissed me." He finishes with, "I just wanted you to understand my feelings." Guillaume tells her, "I really like you," and then comes and hugs her, saying, "Okay, this time I will take the initiative." Then in the next scene, they are both sitting together and eating something. Guillaume also serves Mubi water and other things. Mubi's mom is happy to see this, thinking, at least something will work out for Mubi now. After this, that movie ends, and another one starts. Guillaume brings juice for Jong and asks about Mubi. Where is she? He adds, "Call her." So Jong says, "She left her phone here." Guillaume picks up her phone and starts dialing his number. He becomes happy to see that she has unblocked his number. Next, we see Mubi, who is lost in her thoughts while eating toffees. Her mom asks her, "What happened? What is bothering you now?" Mubi is still thinking about Guillaume. Then she asks her mom, "Why did you date dad? Why did you want to have a relationship with a man who was so crazy about movies when you knew your life would be boring?" Mom says, "You think your dad was after me, but that's not the case. I was after him." Mubi asks, "Why did you do that?" Mom says, "That's a secret, and it will stay with me." Mubi says, "Fine, don't tell me. I'm not particularly interested." Then she says, "Let's have breakfast. I'm hungry." Mom says, "If you like Guillaume, then date him, or you will regret it." Mubi says, "I'll see. I'm not a child." Then we see Guillaume. He is in Director Seong's office. When the director arrives, Guillaume asks, "Where did you go?" The director explains, "I went to a funeral. A boy fainted while going home after a shoot and died." Then they talk about Mubi's dad, saying, "He also died at a young age in a similar way, and the news of his death became famous." Now, when someone related to the film industry dies, he is mentioned, and I wonder what Mubi goes through. Hearing this, Guillaume tells them to rest and goes out. In front of a pizza restaurant, he calls Mubi and asks, "Do you like pizza?" She says, "Yes." Guillaume tells her the location and says, "Come here," then hangs up the phone. Jua is sitting with Mubi and says, "I know who that is." Mubi says, "Tell me, why have you come today?" Jua asks, "If someone says they need time, How much time is that? A week or a month? Mubi says, if this is related to your personal life, then don't drag me into it. Then Mubi says, when are you introducing me to your songwriter? I want to hear his music. Jua says, I'll talk to him today. Mubi says, you think you can do it? He asked you for time, which means you two had a fight. Then we see Yum. He's waiting for Mubi in the restaurant and is drinking Coke after Coke. The waitress asks, will you order something or will you just keep drinking Coke? He says, please pack a pizza. Just then, Mubi arrives, orders her favorite pizza and says, we will eat here. The next day, Guillaume is cooking something at home, and Mubi comes to his house on her cycle. He stops her and calls her over. Mubi is just thinking when he grabs her and takes her inside and makes her have lunch. The next day, Mubi is going to the office, and Guillaume gives her an umbrella. Mubi is surprised. The weather is clear today. Why is he giving me this umbrella? But in the evening when she comes back, it starts raining, and the umbrella Guillaume gave her comes in handy. Once again, Guillaume is waiting for Mubi outside a shop, and when she arrives, he calls her over. He is sitting with beer, noodles, and everything, and then one night they also watch a movie together. Guillaume spends as much time as possible with Mubi but pretends, we always meet by fate. One night, they are walking home from the bus stand. After reaching home, Mubi asks, when will we meet by fate again? Guillaume says, I don't know. It's a matter of fate. Maybe tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock in front of the shop. Mubi smiles and leaves. At night, Mubi is working and Guillaume messages, I have reached home, had dinner, and now I am going to sleep. Don't you worry. Mubi smiles and goes to sleep. The next day, we see Si-jun. He is recording a song with his friend Urim. After the song is over, Si-jun tells Urim, let's go for coffee. Urim comes out of the studio, but the door gets stuck. Si-jun opens the door with difficulty. Urim says, get this door fixed. One day you will get stuck inside. They both sit at a coffee shop, and Jua also comes there. She was going to Si-jun's studio but stops when she sees them and tries to ignore them. Si-jun calls her over and asks, what are you doing here? Jua says, I came for some work. Then Si-jun gets a call and goes to answer it. Urim says to Jua, you are Jua, right? Jua says, yes. Urim says, everyone has a name in their life that they always hear, and in Si-jun's life, that name is yours. He always talks about you. Then Si-jun comes back, and Urim leaves. Jua tells Si-jun, I want to listen to your songs. Si-jun says, don't worry about that. I'll take care of it. Jua says, the director wants to meet you and listen to your songs. Before that, I will listen. Si-jun takes her to the studio, plays the songs, and gives details. Jua says, a male voice will sound better. Si-jun says, I'll try. Jua says, why don't you sing yourself? She forces him into the studio and tells him, sing. Jua starts the music, but Si-jun lip-syncs. Jua goes inside, says, I couldn't hear the voice, and finds out that Si-jun was just lip-syncing. Si-jun says, you go from here, I'll do it later. When Jua is about to leave, the door gets stuck again. Si-jun tries to open it, but the door doesn't open. They both get stuck inside. Sitting worried, Jua says, say something, or I will suffocate. Si-jun asks, you didn't like my song? Jua says, the song is not bad, just the voice doesn't suit it. Si-jun asks, you said you wrote our story, but in the script the girl proposed. Jua says, I liked you first. Si-jun says, no, I liked you first. That's why I proposed. Jua says, I always used to roam around you. I took admission in that school because of you. Si-jun is surprised and asks, since when did you like me? Just then, Yom arrives, listening to a song on his headphones. They both call out to him. Yom sees them and gets them out. In the next scene, the three of them are standing, and a person is fixing the door. Yom asks, what were you two doing inside that the door got locked? Jua says, calm your wild imagination, it's nothing like that. Then she tells Si-jun, get your songs ready, I'll bring Mubi tomorrow. Yum says, I will come too. I also want to hear Si-jun's song. Jua says, go fulfill your romance somewhere else. Then she leaves. Guillaume says, I am going to have a sudden meeting with someone today, so I can't be late. He is leaving and buys flowers for Mubi on the way. A little further on, he sees his brother carelessly crossing the road. Guillaume runs, catches him, and takes him home. Over there, Mubi is waiting for him. After reaching home, Guillaume asks his brother, what were you doing? The brother says, I was lost in my thoughts. Guillaume understands that his brother doesn't want to live. He says, when you had your accident, you were calm like this then too. And today also you're pretending as if nothing happened. The brother remains silent. Guillaume puts down his bag and goes out upset. Mubi, after waiting for a long time, comes home. She scolds Guillaume, why didn't you come to meet me? In the morning, Guillaume wakes up. His brother is sleeping with him. Guillaume asks, why are you sleeping here? The brother says, it didn't feel right. Until middle school, you used to sleep with me. You would even wet the bed out of fear. Guillaume hits him with a pillow saying, I never wet the bed. The brother says, who hits their elder brother? Guillaume says, have you seen your own actions? Then he says, let's have breakfast. A little later, the bell rings. June looks, and Jong has brought potatoes. Yum has already prepared breakfast inside, so Jong also joins. Yum thinks about messaging Moo-bi, but doesn't know how to say sorry. Just then, the bell rings again. Yum opens the door, and it's Moo-bi. She says, if you are not busy, will you come with me? I have to go for some work, and Jong is busy, so I thought I'd take you. Guillaume says, yes, give me 2 minutes, I'm coming. He picks up his bag, and they both leave. Moo-bi is walking on foot, but Guillaume says, let's go in my car. His car is comfortable, and he even opens the roof. In the next scene, Jong asks June, what kind of movie is this? But June is sleeping. Jong asks, are you feeling okay? You don't look well. John says, yes, just a little tired. He takes June to his room so he can rest, but June looks even more sick. Next, we see Moo-bi and Yum, who are going in the car. Yum says to Moo-bi, I'm sorry I couldn't come to you yesterday. He explains, an important work came up. So Moo-bi, who was waiting at night, now says, what are you talking about? So Guillaume tells her, we were supposed to meet yesterday, right? He adds, so I thought you would be waiting for me. Moo-bi says, no, I didn't even go there. Then after a while, Guillaume's car breaks down and they both get stuck on the road, and it gets dark for them there. Moo-bi says, we should have brought my car. Guillaume says, what can we do now? We'll come back tomorrow. Moo-bi says, no, I have a lot of work tomorrow. He says, I thought we came for work today too. He continues, you said Jong was busy but he was sitting at our house having breakfast. He adds, this means we both came here to hang out. Then Guillaume tells her, today, for the first time, you thought about the two of us. Moo-bi asks him, 5 years ago, when you suddenly disappeared, was the reason your brother? She continues, because you are always talking about him. But the way you describe him, he is completely different. She adds, so I just had this thought? Guillaume says, if you had understood, then why did you take so long to ask? She says, I don't like people getting close to me, and I don't like to know about anyone either. Guillaume asks, why now? She says, maybe I want to know you and face my own confusions. Then she also confesses her love to Guillaume. So Guillaume also hugs her. In the next scene, we see Moo-bi and Jua both sitting in Si-jun's studio listening to his song, and Moo-bi is also enjoying the song a lot. The next day, when Moo-bi is getting ready and leaving the house, her mom says, what's the matter? You are leaving very early these days. So Moo-bi says, I'm a bit busy these days. So her mom says, when you are busy, your face is down. She adds, but these days you look very happy. She says, it's not a good thing to taunt others' faces. Mom asks, are you dating someone? But Moo-bi flatly denies it. So mom says, if you are dating, what's there to hide? Moo-bi says, when you are dating and your mom and dad ask, you should flatly deny it. She continues, because if you confess, a court is set up on you and all sorts of questions start. Then she starts to leave and mom says, you are my daughter, that's why you are so sensible. When Moo-bi comes outside, Guillaume is sitting right there in his house's lawn. Moo-bi says, what thoughts are you lost in so early in the morning? When Guillaume sees her, he immediately comes out and hugs her. Moo-bi asks, what happened? Is there any problem? So Guillaume says, I'm just tired. She says, okay, now I have to go. Guillaume says, you left the house so early in the morning. He adds, I thought you wanted to spend time with me. Moo-bi says, if you know, then what are you waiting for? She adds, come on. After this, when Moo-bi reaches the office, Guillaume calls her again. Moo-bi looks around to see if anyone is listening. Now there is an employee there who is sitting with headphones on, so she attends the call and starts talking to Guillaume very lovingly. But Jua is already present there in the office, who overhears all of Moo-bi's conversation. As soon as she sees Jua, she cuts the call. Jua asks, why did you cut the call as soon as you saw me? So Moo-bi doesn't answer her question and says, we have to read the script today, right? She adds, so let's do it. Then, sitting in the office, Moo-bi is reading the script, and Jua is staring at her. Moo-bi says that the script has become much better than before. Jua says, I can smell something. Moo-bi asks, what smell? So Jua says, the smell of love. Tell me what's going on. Moo-bi says, we are not that close that I would start telling you all these things. So Jua asks, you are dating, right? Moo-bi says, I am not. Jua says, let's bet 100,000 won. So Moo-bi says, okay. Jua says, no, something is fishy. Then Moo-bi tells her to focus on her work. After a while, Moo-bi says, I am going to meet Si-jun today. She adds, to decide the main soundtrack of the movie. Jua starts asking when and where. Moo-bi says, I am also getting a smell, like someone's dead love is awakening. Then we see June. He wakes up and comes out of his room and Jong is sitting outside. He tells him, you slept a lot today. Jun asks where Guillaume is. Jong says, he went to the market and has left me with you. Then suddenly June feels dizzy. Jong runs and catches him and then makes him sit on a chair and asks, I myself have been sick for a long time. He adds, so I am really asking you, are you really okay? Then we are shown Jun's flashback when he was at the doctor's. The doctor had told him about his illness and said, treatment needs to start as soon as possible, or you could even die. But Jun still tells Jung, I am perfectly fine. He adds, I just slept too much, so my head is spinning. Then we see Si-jun and Mubi. They are having a meeting, and Mubi is very happy with Si-jun's work. Then Si-jun asks her, do these scriptwriters live in your office? She looks outside and sees Jua sitting there. Mubi says, we had to read the script in the morning, and since then she has been sitting here. She adds, maybe she has no home, or maybe she is waiting for someone. Then Si-jun says, okay, I'll be going now. Mubi says, take Jua with you too. Si-jun says, why would I take Jua with me? She says, because you two were friends before. Then Si-jun says, you know too. Si-jun explains, the situation is very strange these days. He adds, look at your and Gyum's situation. So Mu-bi asks him, he told you too? He says, yes, he can't keep anything in his stomach. Mu-bi says, please don't tell Jua that I am dating Gyum, or she will eat my head off. Si-jun says, yes, that won't be necessary now. Mubi turns around and sees Yua standing there, listening to everything. Mubi gets up, goes to her, and says softly, you will get your bet money. In the next scene, Gyum goes to Mubi's mom and says, your daughter is my girlfriend. Mom says, Mubi didn't say anything like that. Guillaume says, it's only been 2 weeks since we started dating. Mom says, she told me this morning that she is not dating anyone. Then Mom says, dating Mubi is not easy. She looks innocent, but she is not. Mom asks, you look good, you speak well, so what is your weakness? Guillaume says, I think a lot, I get too many thoughts. Mom says, that's not a weakness. He says, I don't know what to do with these thoughts. When Guillaume is about to take the meat, Mom says, share your thoughts. Maybe someone will give a good solution, and these thoughts won't bother you again. In the next scene, Si-jun is smoking, and Jua is talking to him. Jua says, Guillaume and Mu-bi together? I don't understand their pair. One is a movie director, the other a critic. How? Si-jun says, don't you have to go somewhere? Jua says, I'm here so we can have dinner together. Si-jun says, we are not that close to sit opposite each other and have dinner. Jua takes him to a restaurant where they eat side by side. Both order noodles. Si-jun says, since when did you start eating noodles? He adds, you always used to order rice balls. Jua says, I always liked noodles. Si-jun finishes his noodles in a minute. Jua says, if you want to go, you can. It will take me some time. Si-jun stays. Jua says, I have trouble eating hot food, so I eat slowly. She adds, you used to eat quickly before too, that's why I would get rice balls so we could finish together. Si-jun says, if you had told me, I would have waited. I'm not a psycho. Si-jun asks, are there other things like this? I want to know. Jua says, I don't like sci-fi movies. Those were all your favorites. Si-jun says, why are you telling me now? Now, it feels like you were always adjusting for me. Jua says, this was my way of loving. I was foolish to do everything according to you. Si-jun asks, if you loved me so much, why did you disappear in one night, leaving me? Jua says, these are old things. Is it all over now, or is there something left? Si-jun says, what do you want to hear? Should I say yes or no? In the next scene, we see Gyum. Jung tells him, Jun wants to eat out today. Gyum says, I bought all the groceries and now you are telling me? They go out to eat. Mu-bi is also coming home. Gyum runs to her and says, why are you roaming alone at night? Mu-bi says, I don't have anyone to roam with. Gyum says, yes, you don't even have friends. She says, I had one friend and you people snatched him away too. Gyum says, you don't need this useless person. I'm here to take care of you. Jun also invites Mu-bi for dinner, so she goes with them. The next day, Jun asks Gyum, are you busy? Gyum says, yes, a little. Jun says, shall we go for a drive? Gyum gets ready, happy to see his brother. They both take Si-jun to play basketball. At night, they chat with Yua and the bar owner at Si-jun's bar, then watch a movie at Gyum's house. Gyum doesn't feel right about something but is happy for his brother. Mu-bi comes back after checking her film location. She tells Gyum on the call, the location has been ruined. It had a good view before, but not anymore. The river has also dried up. Gyum says, the movie My Girl has good locations. You can use those. Seeing that girl always reminds me of you. She didn't have any friends either. She made a sick boy her disciple. Mu-bi says, do you want to get beaten? Gyum says, I wish I could have come with you. Mu-bi says, take care of your brother. Mu-bi asks, did you take him to the hospital today? Gyum tells her, yes. She praises him. Taking care of a sick person is difficult. Gyum says, sometimes when he's sleeping, I bother him. Mu-bi says, no matter how good a person is, in bad times, one feels like venting. Gyum says, I don't have anyone like that. She says, you can vent on me. I'll take notes and settle the score later. Gyum says, it feels like I'm taking out a loan. Mu-bi says, go inside or the mosquitoes will eat you. Gyum says, their party is going on late. Gyum goes inside and massages his brother's feet. Jun says, shall we go on a trip? Gyum says, get well first. Jun says, I am fine. I have seen 2 places. We can leave by flight next month. Gyom says, why are you behaving like this? You never did this before. Now you've started inviting people home. You want to go on a trip. Jun says, I couldn't do all this before. Now I want to do it. What's the problem with that? Gyom says, we will do it, but slowly. Why in such a hurry? You are talking as if you are going somewhere. Jun says, I am preparing for the unexpected. Why don't you understand this? Gyom says, what unexpected? Are you thinking about your death? I don't think so, because I still have to live with you. Jun says, death can come anytime. Gyom says, I understand now. You are doing all this so that I won't be sad after your death that you didn't live your life. Jun says, sorry, I didn't know this was so difficult for you. Gyum says, still apologizing? While saying this, Gyum drops a cup of tea, and the hot tea spills on his hand. Jun puts his hand in cold water. Gyum asks, did you ever want to live? Then he says, now do whatever you want. If you want to roam, roam. If you want to die, die. I won't stop you anymore. He walks away, getting drenched in the rain. Mubi sees him on the road, stops her car, and takes him with her. Then we see that due to his brother's death, he locks himself in the house. After many days, he is packing his things when Jong shows him a diary, saying, this is Jun's. I'm taking it. Gyum takes the diary from him, keeps it inside, and then starts reading it. He reads all his words. At the end, it is written, I want to start my life again. Gyum cries a lot after reading the diary. In the next scene, Mubi stands on the balcony and watches Gyum. Gyum is very upset by Jun's death, and Mubi is very worried about him. In the next scene, Gyum is getting his car washed. Director Seong messages him, asking him to have a beer together, but Gyum doesn't pay attention. Jua messages, did you eat? She adds, if not, should I send something? Gyum doesn't pay attention to this either and says, what has suddenly happened to everyone? He adds, why has everyone started caring for me so much? While coming home, Mubi is reading a book on the balcony and is happy to see Gyum. Thinking that he is returning to his normal life, Mubi goes for a walk with Gyum every day. They spend time at a restaurant. Today too, they are coming home after a walk. Gyum is lost in his thoughts. Mubi says, look at me. Gyum says, what happened? Mubi says, didn't you get the signal? Gyum smiles and hugs her. Mubi then goes home. In the next scene, Gyum is sitting in Director Seong's office. The director asks, what are you doing here? Gyum says, just as you come to the office when you have no work, I came in the same way. The director says, instead of insulting me, you could have just cursed me. Gyum says, you made a flop film. It doesn't feel good to see you like this. The director says, you left your own troubles to come and console me? That's strange. The director says, when a close person dies, the grief is not immediate. It hits when you need them, and they are not there. Gyum says, I came from home thinking I would tease you. The director asks, what's the plan? Gyum says, I am going to throw a grand retirement party. The director gets irritated and says, I will not leave this chair so easily. One film flopped, and you are trying to make me retire? The director says, forget all this. Let's play a game. In the next scene, Mubi looks at Gyum's house from her house gate. Jong comes and says, Gyum is behaving strangely. He shows that everything is fine, but from the inside, he is broken. Mubi says, maybe he needs more time to get over his brother's grief. Jong asks, when your dad died, did it take you this long too? Mubi says, I had no one to share my feelings with. She says, maybe Gyum is feeling the same way. Jong gets emotional, hugs her, and says, I'm so sorry. You always helped me, but when you needed me, I wasn't there. Mubi says, it's okay. He says, I don't know where Gyum is. He hasn't come home yet. Mubi shoos Jong away and waits for Gyum herself. Gyum is buying things at the store. In the next scene, Si-jun is sitting alone in the bar. Jua comes. Si-jun says, the bar is closed. Jua says, I didn't come to fight. I was just feeling lonely, that's why I came. Si-jun lets her in and gives her a drink. Jua asks, how is Gyum now? Have you talked to him? Si-jun says, no. Jua says, you just don't know how to express your feelings. Don't say anything to him. Just go to him. You two know each other well, so don't ignore him. He is broken. Si-jun is pressing his hand. Jua holds his hand and says, you have constipation, right? Whenever you press this pressure point, this problem occurs. You show that everything is fine on the outside, but it's not. Si-jun says, what are you doing? This is not necessary. Jua says, why are you so stubborn? You won't die if you say a few words of love. Si-jun says, my way of speaking is harsh, that's why I stay quiet. The truth doesn't show in my words. Jua says, I understand everything you say. Si-jun fills Jua's glass. Jua says, this bottle is reserved. Si-jun says, no one will come to take it. 5 years ago, a couple wrote their names on it, but they didn't come. There are many such bottles lying around. Jua says, we can't drink like this. What if someone comes tomorrow? Si-jun says, that won't happen. Jua says, I feel someone will come tomorrow. Let's make a bet. Si-jun says, okay, bet on. Mubi is sleeping at her desk, wakes up, and checks her mobile. Guillaume has messaged, I have come home. Are you asleep? Mubi looks out the window. The lights of Guillaume's house are off. She thinks maybe he has slept, and then she also goes to sleep. When she wakes up in the morning, she sees Guillaume sitting in his car. Mubi asks, what are you doing here? Guillaume says, I came looking for something. There are pillows and things in his car because Guillaume hadn't gone home for many days. Mubi asks, why are you doing this? Guillaume says, there is no one at home. What will I do? That house has become deserted. Then he says, don't worry, I will go home today. I also have to clean. Mubi says, okay, I am going to the office. At night, Mubi comes home. The lights of Guillaume's house are on, but Guillaume is in the car. Mubi comes to the car. Guillaume says, I went home, but I couldn't stay, so I came out. Mubi says, let's go home together tomorrow. Guillaume says, okay. In the morning, Guillaume starts to go home. Mubi also arrives at his house with all her things and says, now I will stay with you for a few days. Guillaume asks, what did you tell your mom? Mubi says, I told mom I will be at the office. Guillaume asks, you lied to your mom? Mubi says, a little lie is acceptable in a mother-daughter relationship. She says, I am going to the office. You clean the house. I'll have your handmade noodles at night. In the next scene, we see Si-jun in the bar. A couple comes to him and asks for a 5-year-old bottle, saying, we wrote our names on it. Si-jun is surprised. 5 years ago? He makes a note in a copy. The bar owner comes and tells the couple, I know you, but coming after 5 years is a big deal, then gives them the bottle. Si-jun is surprised because he lost the bet with Jua. Si-jun goes to throw out the trash, then sits outside, thinks of messaging Jua, but doesn't know what to write. He types and deletes the message 2 to 3 times and finally writes, I made a new song. In the next scene, Mubi is going home from the office. The lights of Guillaume's house are off. She looks for him in the car, but Guillaume is not there either. Mubi gets scared and starts looking for him inside the house, calling his name. Guillaume appears in front of her with a candle. Mubi gets scared and asks, why is it so dark in the house? Guillaume says, I was late in paying the electricity and water bills, so the line was cut. Mubi gets worried and starts crying, then hugs Guillaume. In the next scene, Si-jun is going home. Jua is waiting for him. Si-jun asks, what are you doing here? Jua says, why are you surprised? You were the one who said you made a new song. I came to hear that. Si-jun gets emotional because 5 years ago, when they were in a relationship, he would always show Jua his music first. Jua would like it, be happy, and appreciate it. Si-jun asks, is everything over between us, or do you want to come back? Then we see Si-jun brings something for Guillaume every day, secretly leaves it, and runs away. One day he brings things for Guillaume, puts them in the car, and there is a smell from the car because Guillaume had left food and drinks in the car. Si-jun cleans the car. Then Guillaume comes and asks, what are you doing here? Si-jun says, why is there so much mess in the car? A car is not for sleeping. He asks, do you still sleep in the car? Guillaume says, no, Mubi saw me. Now I have to sleep at home. Si-jun tries to say something. Guillaume says, leave it. It's not your cup of tea. Let's go somewhere else. In the next scene, Si-jun tells Kua, I tried to hide it, but I can't hide it. I still love you as much as I did 5 years ago. He tells Jua, go on 3 dates with me, then decide what to do. The next day, Mubi is going to the office. Guillaume asks, will you be late today too? Mubi says, I don't know. The producer wants to meet me. When she leaves, Mubi's mom comes out of the house, sees them both, says nothing, and leaves. Guillaume says, don't worry, she likes me. Mubi says, from today, like will turn into dislike. She tells Guillaume, don't wait for me today. I might not be able to come to your house. Then she goes to the office. Si-jun gets ready for the date and goes to Jua, but Hua says it to him. Si-jun holds her hand. Jua says, will you hold my hand too? Si-jun says, is there a problem? Then he says, let's eat something first. Jua says, yes, okay. Guillaume is cleaning the house. His eyes fall on Jun's things. He takes them out one by one. Jong is sitting on Jun's wheelchair and says, why are you throwing all this away? Guillaume says, just like that I had to throw them away someday. Jong says, you have kept your books and cassettes safe and now you say you have to throw away old things. Jong explains, don't rush, grieve as much as you want, but pull yourself together and come back to life. Jun is gone, but you have to live for yourself and Mubi. Guillaume thanks him. Jong tries to hug him, but Guillaume slips under and runs away. He runs after him. I need a hug. Meanwhile, Mubi is in the office. She is told, the producers don't want to make the film, there is no budget. Si-jun and Jua have lunch, listen to music, go for a walk, and sit by a beautiful river drinking beer. At night, Mubi is sitting at the bus stop, upset about the film being cancelled. The producer calls, but she doesn't pick up. She comes home. Mom asks, are you planning to stay here tonight? Mubi says, sorry, and explains, Guillaume was feeling lonely. Mom asks, why the long face? She sits with her mom. and Mom asks, will you be staying at the office for a few more days? Moo-bee says, maybe it won't be necessary now. Mom asks, which office? The one across the street or the real one? Moo-bee says, the film got cancelled. The producers won't finance it. The project will have to be shut down. Mom says, you will give up so easily? She says, yes, I won't make the same mistake as Dad. Mom says, how can you say that? You wasted your own and others' time, and how can you call your dad a fool? Moo-bee says, Dad was selfish. He didn't pay attention to us for the sake of a movie. She adds, always on shoot, earning money, but he put it all into the movie, which wasn't even completed. Mom asks, do you still hate him so much? Moo-bee says, did he ever care about me? Angry, she goes to her room. Then, Moo-bee goes to her dad's room, watches her childhood movie again. It feels just as boring today. In the morning, she goes to meet director Seong. The director asks, why have you come? To complain about Yum or to get advice? Moo-bee says, your film flopped, right? The director says, are you making fun of me? Moo-bee says, my film also got shut down. The director explains, there is a difference between me and you. I have made many films. If mine gets shut down, it's not a problem. This is your second film. Some stories are special. They should be told at a special time. Moo-bee gets lost in thought. Meanwhile, Jua finds Si-jun and talks about Moo-bee's film being shut down. She says, don't worry, we will find a financier. Si-jun says, it's not the first time my work has been ruined. He says, let's go on our second date today. I don't want to think about anything but us. In the next scene, Guillaume is sitting outside on his brother's chair. Director Seong calls and tells him, you should be with Moo-bee. Her film has been shut down. Guillaume is surprised and calls Moo-bee, but she doesn't pick up. Meanwhile, Si-jun and Jua are walking. Si-jun's studio is nearby. Jua says, I want to listen to your music again. I am sure our film will be a hit. They both go to the studio, listen to the song, and Si-jun stops it, saying, I am leaving all this. I am tired. Jua motivates him. So Si-jun gets angry and says, stop with the fake praise. I have reached this far because of you. Jua leaves angrily, and Si-jun goes out to find her. Moo-bee is sleeping in the office, then wakes up and comes out. Downstairs, Guillaume is waiting for her. Moo-bee asks, what are you doing here? Guillaume says, I told you to call out when you need help, but how will I hear you if I am not nearby? He hugs her, and they both sit in the car. Si-jun is looking for Jua and finds her, then starts fighting with her. Jua also fights back, saying, you are selfish. Even today, you are looking for me for your own sake. You don't care about me. Si-jun says, I am still living in those days when you left me. Everything of mine was left behind. What will I think about the future? They both get emotional. In the next scene, Yum and Moo-bee are enjoying a song in the car. Moo-bee says, my film is being shut down. Aren't you worried? Yum says, I don't know. I feel like you will move on from this. He adds, you want to make a romantic film, but you can make something else too. Moo-bee says, I wanted to show a sweet story of two people in love. Actually, I wanted to find that love. She tells Guillaume, if I tell you something, you won't leave me, right? She adds, I feel like I am the reason for Dad's death. Guillaume says, no matter how long the tunnel is, there is light at the end. Then, Guillaume's childhood is shown. He gets scared while sleeping, wakes up, and watches a movie saying, these films were my light. It felt like I could do anything, but the life outside was difficult and desolate. He continues, then Moo-bee came into my life, and I became a little relaxed. Moo-bee explains how she started hating her dad. She wanted him to love her, give her time, but she never wanted his death. They both stop the car at a lovely place and talk. Moo-bee says, let's stay here until morning, okay? Guillaume says, if we stay all night, your mom will kill me. Moo-bee says, the car is a wreck, but it's fun. Guillaume says, don't say that. It will feel bad. Movies have cars like this. Moo-bee asks, why do you like movies so much? Guillaume says, in the beginning, I was lonely. Then it became my and my brother's favorite thing to do. On the other side, Si-jun is cleaning the bar. The bar owner says, how did you come so early? Si-jun says, I was getting bored at home. The owner asks, you are not one to get bored. What's the matter? Si-jun asks, when I and Jua were in a relationship, how did it seem? The owner says, you two were an amazing pair. You were always saying, Jua, Jua. The owner asks, what makes love complete? Si-jun says, marriage or living together. The owner says, yes, but love is complete in itself. If there is love between two people, nothing else is needed. Si-jun understands what to do. In the next scene, Moo-bee's mom is going to the shop. Guillaume comes with flowers and plants. Mom says, are you crazy? Who gives so many flowers? Who will plant them? Guillaume starts planting the plants. Mom asks, you said you think a lot. Are you still like that? Guillaume says, I am trying to change. Mom says, whatever is in your mind, say it. Talking leads to more conversation. Yom asks, what if there's no one to talk to? Mom says, presence is not just about being seen. I wanted Mubi to date a normal person, but she found someone just like herself. Meanwhile, Mubi is eating food. Yom sends a photo of the plants and says, your mom likes me again? At night, Mom comes, and Mubi is sitting in front of the plants. Mom asks, did Yom plant them well? Mubi says, Yom is cute, isn't he? Mom says, not at all, but he is a good person. Mubi asks, what kind of person was Dad? Mom says, extremely sad. He was sad his whole life, but because of you, he chased his dreams so that you would learn not to give up. Mom says, you are just like him, sweet and kind, and it shows in your work. That's why I only watch your films. In the next scene, Mubi goes outside and gets scared seeing Jua. Jua shouts, how can you give up like this? You were not a coward. Then they both go to Si-jun's studio. Si-jun says, I started this project with Jua to end everything and fulfill my dream. He gives his music to Mubi. You keep this. Mubi listens to it, likes it, so she thinks about making the film again. She says, I will find a financier. On the other side, Yum is folding clothes in his brother's room and finds a cigarette in a shirt pocket. He sits outside and starts to smoke it but can't. His brother appears and smokes a cigarette with him. Yum says, why couldn't I catch you doing this? The brother says, there are many things you don't know about me. Yum says, brother, come in my dreams sometimes, we'll chill. He starts crying. The brother says, now you don't even call me when you cry. Yum says, even if I call you a million times, you won't come. That's why I don't call. He hugs his brother and cries, saying, don't worry about me. I will live my life well now, and falls asleep while crying. Meanwhile, Mubi is sitting at the bus stop. Guillaume gives her corn and says, you look like you're in a bad mood. Mubi says, I made big boasts in the production office that I would find a financier, but from where? Guillaume says, some money will come from my cassettes. Mubi says, you're selling them for 20,000 won. What will that do? Guillaume says, every little bit helps. Mubi says, I watched Dad's film again. It's just as boring, but his truth is visible. I didn't understand what he was trying to say, so I will have to watch more movies. Maybe I'll find a way. Guillaume says, I am leaving my job as a film critic. I don't enjoy watching films anymore. A few months later, Guillaume is giving an interview. As soon as he comes out, his CV is torn up because the interview was bad. Guillaume explains, Mubi's film was a hit. It was artistic, and the big thing is, Si-jun became a big shot because his music was a huge hit. Guillaume comes home, and Jong calls out, what took you so long? He adds, how difficult was the work? Guillaume explains, he is not my roommate. A room was empty, so he came and started living here. Mubi and her mom arrive. Mom asks about the interview. Guillaume says, I will definitely get the job. He tells the mom, if you don't have a helper at the shop, you can hire me. Mom says, focus on your own job. Director Seong also comes for the celebration of Mubi's film. He was the one who financed it. Everyone parties. Mubi says, Guillaume doesn't watch films like before, but he says the only film of his life is Kim Mubi. Sometimes he also comes to the set to annoy me. The drama ends here.